be her first. I'm tryna be her last now. I can't be her.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back with Explicit Expressions. Same people here all the time. Today, we are going to be talking about spirituality, religion a little bit. Get into the video.
Are you more religious or spiritual?
I feel like I'm somewhere in between. Like, I think it depends. Like when I'm home, I grew up Christian, so like my mom watches church every Sunday, even if she doesn't go. And like during big family events, we pray before every meal. We don't really do it every time, but like when we have big family events, we definitely pray. But outside of that, like I think I would be more spiritual in terms of how I deal with my faith than religious and how I practice.
Depends on how you define religion and spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
I think the practice of religion is like, in my eyes, I see it as you practice Christianity, you practice
But there's several different religions.
yeah.
Christianity is not.
But when I think of religion, I think of like I think of those things. I don't think of like
Catholic.
so like
What do you think? Spirituality.
that's more into like if you think of numerology, astrology, if you think of
What do you think spiritual is?
African spirituality, in a lot of ways African spirituality, I don't count that as a religion.
What do you think spiritual?
Well, I think it's more so I go based off of my definition of religion, and I think religion is just a social construct people make to make sense of a world that's not made to make sense of us, which I can understand why people would want to do that. And at the end of the day, that's a common factor amongst all religions, as you guys all just listed. The difference is, I think with spirituality, that's more so of the practice, faith, understanding, and continuing belief that being human is just an experience where you get to experience emotions to a highly sensitivity. And with that, you go about said experience. But there's also, I feel there's certain aspects of people that takes them to get to that point, and then once you get to that point, you also know that there's beyond that, and that's more so what people try to look for the closure in versus finding closure. You go with it.
Yeah.
You ate that.
So I feel like got a good balance of both. Shit. Yeah.
Just a chill guy.
Just the guy, man.
Just
Just a chill guy,
I
man.
think I'm a balance of both, but I lean more spiritual only because I grew up in the church, so like
Mhm.
they're just kind of forced on me. So like,
See, I grew in and out of it. Like I was in it sometimes. I was not
I was
in
in
it.
the choir when I was in.
I was in the choir, I was in the church dance team, I was an usher.
Them dance teams used to be stepping. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, like my dad was
Drumline?
my dad
Lethal.
worked there, like my mom works there, like so my parents are deep in the church, so I'm always in the church, but like my belief in God, like it's weird. I just grew up there, but
We have a complicated relationship.
but I do research and believe in spiritual things too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I still pray. I think I pray. Sometimes I don't know who I'm praying to. I just think I pray. Which I think the practice of prayer is more of saying the things that you want and being intentional about saying things out loud. I don't think you necessarily have to give it up to a God, but I spend a lot of time, like, especially when I'm working through stuff emotionally, I spend a lot of time praying or speaking things into existence or speaking things out loud that I know I want to be intentional about doing or stopping. But yeah.
In my eyes, I would consider myself as neither really, because in my personal preference, neither one exists because they're all the same and nothing. But realistically, I also know, given the fact of modern day definition, how things look, I know people would, I would be more considered as spiritual in this dynamic.
Yeah.
And like I said, in my personal perspective, I don't.
It's all the same.
Exist.
I think it's all the same.
It very much is.
Because if you read all the books, they're pretty much all saying the same thing in like
They're all
different
talking
ways.
about a higher plane. So yeah, it's just like some people have a name, or like
There's a name difference.
yeah, or a significance difference. But like, yeah, Next question: what was your first experience that got you into your religion or spiritual goals?
Yeah, but like I said, I grew up Christian. When I was younger, I would go to church a lot, and then I just stopped going. Like, nobody really forced me. It was more my decision. Like, I think as I got older, my mom just kind of let me form my own opinions about religion, and I just wanted to stop going to church one day. But I don't think I really stopped believing in God completely. I just think I stopped going to church. But my mom's still Christian. Um, most of my family is Christian, or I have some Jehovah's Witness family members as well. Um, so yeah. But my first introduction was through Christianity, and then I think when I was 15 or 14, my grandfather had a bunch of books on like numerology and African spirituality. So I started reading them, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool! Like, I get this." So that's where I kind of started tapping into more spirituality things.
Interesting relationship and dynamic with religion. I'll say that much. So because it also,
You would be like, well, what made you realize?
but that's what I'm saying. It like I know what it is because I've done that self research myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also because I know that it plays such a big part of me. It is a bit of a long story, but because I think everything very thoroughly, and that's probably one of the starting key factors. Because it also with religion, it definitely did impact the relationship I have with my family. With me being the only one to really stand out in that aspect, I guess. So that plays another part in it as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't mind talking. It's just a long history.
We got the time.
I'll go. I'm in and out of going to church since a kid. I didn't like. I had to go sometimes. Sometimes like we wouldn't go for like months, whatever. Like, and then we'd start back up, and then out. Like besides the immediate family, like the rest of my family are somewhat church people. I somewhat try to keep faith in God. I try my best, try to do better. Now that I get older. Yeah. So yeah.
Now that I'm older, like I grew up in the church, so that's where I started. But when it came to my decision, I was interested in like looking on astrology and numerology and all those things. But like I really don't practice either one. Like my parents encourage me to pray, but I really don't. So it's like I don't really do either one. I don't think I'm on either side. So I'm just neither. How important is spirituality to you?
Spirituality within itself, I wouldn't really say. Actually, no. I would say it's pretty important to me because, again, with the way people define it, well, with the way that I see how people define it, a common factor is self-discovery. And if that's what they consider spirituality as, I feel like that's very important because a lot of times people tend to lack that aspect, or they don't realize that that's a continuing aspect that's never going to actually go away. They feel like they make some type of groundbreaking, oh yes, this is my huzzah moment, this is who I'm meant to be, but that will never be the case. That's just who you are for the moment in time being until you die and resurrect again. People never actually pay attention to that part after death.
Pointing to your first part about self-discovery, like following that, I think that's important too. Like knowing who you are, and if that's how you figure yourself out, then that's important.
Yeah, I think the self-discovery aspect of it all was like, it wasn't important for me, but it was like, okay, like I'm figuring things out. Like I'm finally starting to make headway. Like I think in the beginning for me it was hard because I was like, I don't know. It felt too outside of what I was used to. Like my mom originally grew up Jehovah's Witness, and then she switched to Christianity, and then I think my father grew up Christian. I know that his dad became Muslim after he was in war, and then my grandmother was always Christian. And then I think my dad now just, I wouldn't say he's very religious. Like, I don't think he's an atheist or anything. I just think that he's not very, yeah, like he just doesn't practice. So I think for me, like, I always kind of had the freedom to figure out, like, okay, well, if this doesn't work for you, what does? So I think the self-discovery of it in itself came from my parents being like, listen, if this isn't it, then just find something to believe in or find out what works for you. So I think that's kind of how I ended up towards where I was.
Same thing for me almost. Yeah, even till this day, I try to keep an open mind and exploring different stuff that may fit me as a person, because everyone's not the same. Everybody doesn't think the same. So I still to this day try to keep an open mind in what I think, say, do, and practice, stuff like that. But nothing too much about it more.
What is your opinion on heaven and hell?
Yo. I mean, if they're real, hell just sound real bad. Like, you burn alive, you're working all the time, it's hot. They don't got no food. Heaven sound fun, bro. They said they got endless bread and fish. They got the streets made of gold. I like streets made of gold.
I feel like they're both just idealistic concepts.
To rationalize.
I think it's the thing that we all use to, like, soften grief. Like, it's the thing that we use. Okay, if somebody does something bad to me, they go to hell. But if somebody was a good person, like if they were good to me, okay, they go to heaven. It's the way that we rationalize or deal with or understand death, because there's no right or wrong way to deal with grief, and I think a lot of people use it as like a end all be all or like a final closure thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. They added to add limitations to beliefs, because again, they want, with heaven and hell, it feeds into the aspect of saying people want to know everything when you're really not supposed to know everything, because if you know everything, that would be the end all be all, and it would just kind of go into an endless cycle of you losing your mind, because knowledge can be too powerful a lot of the times, and people don't realize that. So I really think with heaven and hell, like I said, just another one of those limitations or caps people put on to understand, saying, like, you know what, this is my right, this is my wrong, and no one else can convince me otherwise. Which is another thing. Whoever says that you had to be dead to experience heaven and hell.
That's your thing.
Because I feel like sometimes I be feeling hell on earth.
Nah, bro. I feel like, and also they, like, especially in movies, I'll give an example, like this fucking movie, if y'all Disney people or whatever know, OGs, Percy Jackson.
Yo, I thought he was going to say Percy Jackson or Hercules.
No, so Percy Jackson, when they're in Hades, like, hell, like, persona, whatever, and it's like, they have that nigga in the train, too, or, like, the Bones nigga.
Okay.
On
and
the pathway.
He's
like,
taking the people back and forth.
It's like,
what is his name?
The Grim Reaper?
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy, but I gotta do this, so else it could. Sweet peas in a pod! It's got me face! Me beautiful face! Ah, it's gone down me road! Ow! It bit me body butt!
And he was like, something, you gotta be, only dead people come by, stuff like that. And then Hades with the hell, the fire, supposed to be hell, fire. That's like, they be having that persona with, like, hell. I know, yeah. Heaven.
Evil man is gonna
it's
take
like I feel like we don't know even half of it, like what goes on after. For real. Because, like, look at we're here. Like who.
Do y'all believe in reincarnation?
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, no, real shit.
So, like.
No, I used to watch videos of reincarnated people and their stories.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like, what life am I on if I'm reincarnated? Like,
Who knows?
I feel like I've been here before. Like, but everybody said that growing up. Like, oh, she's too mature. Like, she's too grown. Like, there's no way that she's only been here one time. Like, you know how, like, black moms say, like, oh, you've been here before? Like, that baby's grown. Like, that was me. Like, I was talking and asking people to give me stuff at, like, 1.5.
But look,
in full sentence, like, yo, but, like, why don't I have this? Like, I'm not understanding.
I feel like if same niggas got reincarnated, I feel like, say you got reincarnated, right?
Yeah.
you could have been from anywhere from like BC, AD, whatever.
And then never came back again until now.
It's
Yeah.
like until
Like,
you were born again.
What
Like,
if I was with David and them?
You could have been like
What if I was with John Hancock? And I was sitting in his cellar.
It doesn't have a time meter, so you could die. You could
Like, what if I was a white man in my last life?
You could have died 50 years ago and then came back right when you died.
Yeah,
Been you.
it's crazy.
awesome shit.
People go. How do you feel religion or spirituality brings us together as Black people?
I think if I go by like the way I was raised with Christianity, like it gives us a common enemy, like the devil. Like if you like, I don't know about y'all, but like when I was in church, Like I was there for Easter, Christmas, New Year's Eve. I was there for the programs. I was in the choir. Like I was there all the time. Like I was doing Bible study. So because I was there so much, I think it kind of brings you your community. Like you're around people that have common interests, even though that Christianity came from slavery, but y'all don't want to talk about that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was gonna say it was a
And
form for them to cope during slavery.
you know, but I think it was just a way. Like a lot of my friends that I know now, I either went to church with them at some point, or like I went to the church that they go to now. Like a lot of the people that go to the church that I go to live in my community or like go to my school. So it's kind of a tight-knit group of people.
I think it's what we used during slavery, and we just carried those practices on.
Literally, a lot of the stuff we've learned from slavery days carried on generations till now. And we just think it's normal because it is. If for real, ended, like our grandparents,
like our grandparents or our great grandparents.
Like-
No, so like, did you guys see the movie that Keke Palmer is doing about the slave? There was a woman, she was a slave, and she didn't realize that slavery was over until 1943.
Didn't know she was doing that.
It's a movie. I keep seeing the ad on TikTok. Thank you, TikTok, for giving me that ad. I don't know what the name of it is, but I know she's in it, and I know it's about this woman that was a slave and ended up getting free in 1943. Like that's crazy. Like imagine if we didn't have any of the stuff that we had now. Like if we didn't have phones. Like I always think about it. Like what if people in slave times had all the resources we had now? Like
That's the problem. They weren't supposed to.
like bro, what if we not even that? What if we all had phones?
But think
Even if we had phones, somebody on Instagram would have been like, "Yo, they taking people. Don't go down that road. Get out of Atlanta." They shutting down Dollar Tree. They shutting down Dollar Tree. They is. I'm telling you, they is. For real, they is.
a lot of our parents, like especially like older people, parents, maybe sometimes grandparents, half of them did not grow up with phones or technology for so many years. Like a lot of their first inventions were flip phones, all that shit. So it's like, what the, like payphone, the house, yes, the house phone.
I have a house phone when I was little.
I called the cops on mine.
Mine is still attached to my house.
And they
I
came.
still have a house phone.
Me too. Mine is still attached to my house.
Nah, they took mine out when I did it. After I called the cops, they took the payphone away.
Question: what do you struggle most with your faith?
Consistency. Consistency in faith. I think I am a person that just needs to practice more. I don't think I'm wavering in my faith. I think I'm not active in my faith.
Realistically, once again, having such a broad perspective, having such a broad yet integrated perspective on spirituality, what the way my mindset is more so of, I feel, because once I've experienced it, it's something like, it's like an endless spiral. There's no really getting out of it. There are just times where I realize like, okay, this is life, but then at the same time too, I also have to realize all the lessons that came with life thus far. So I don't really think there's ever such an instance of me really falling out of quote unquote faith or whatever. I just think it's more so of me going through another spiritual awakening, death, whatever, to realign me with who it is I'm supposed to be.
That makes sense.
Yeah, with me it's consistency too. Just got to get better at keeping more time on my hands with praying, just giving time back, stuff like that. So, yeah.
For me, it's faith itself. Like I said earlier, I really don't think I believe in either one. So it's like, I guess finding a solid definition and figuring out, I guess, what it is I do believe in. Last question. How do you feel about the negative interpretation of homosexuality in the Bible? I'm not gonna lie.
I got nothing to say about that.
I've never even read a Bible verse that said anything about somebody being gay.
Well, let me not say I don't have anything to say. I have a more complex perspective on that.
So speak up. That's what we're here.
That's what we're here for. It's literally all I want to do. I want complex perspectives. I want them to be like, that's not true. Yes, it is, honey. And accept it. It's okay. This won't hurt you.
Well,
It's just the truth.
Well, like I said, I'm not a homosexual, but realistically, at the end of the day, my biggest thing with homosexuality is so long as what y'all do does not affect me or affect the wide scale, I guess you could say, of the population, because it will never get to a point where, it's getting too homosexual to the point where we can't reproduce as a society anymore. Like, it's never going to actually interfere in that aspect or way. I feel like more people, that's when a religion mixed with law, and it's just not a good combination. That should never be a mix. And while it maybe sound good on quote unquote paper or whatever, but then when you live the realistics of it, it's like, damn, why even bother speaking on the said subject when it's not going to get you anywhere?
The reproduction conversation really is an issue because, gay people are still having kids.
That's what I'm saying, but they don't like it because it's unnatural. But then at the same time, too, realistically, everything about our lives modern day is unnatural.
Yeah.
So you can't complain when that technology is then being used to also combat said issues of those of concerns. And it just goes to show that that's when their own personal perspectives is in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, people use sperm donors when they just want to have kids and don't want a baby daddy.
Shit, half their fathers are fucking sperm donors, but people don't want to have that conversation. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, that's fatherless behavior. That's the only reason why they're so homophobic.
I think all that matters.
Sorry.
I want to apologize to all of you for what I did. It was very wrong and I am very sorry. I just would like to move on and lead a normal life. Get a job and a wife and change my ways. And I hope this apology impresses you, even though my grandmother made me do it and I don't really mean it.
You mean you do mean it?
I mean, I do mean it. I don't think he means it.
I just think it's an excuse. I think it's an excuse for you to have a reason to, again, rationalize your decisions.
I'm so sorry, but just one more thing. Also, a nigga's G-spot's in they ass. How the fuck you expect them to not be gay? I'm sorry, what? I just remember that key factor.
Wow.
Oh, okay, continue.
How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry.
Hey, I ain't doing that.
I'm sorry.
He said he doesn't want to find it.
Nah,
He wants no part.
I don't want to part in that, but shit.
Like biology, like, oh my gosh.
Listen.
Biologically.
Yeah.
I did hear something about that though.
No, it's true.
I did hear something
No,
about
it's
that.
true, honey. I know. It seems like a farce, but it's true, honey.
Yeah, I ain't.
And
But-
if you think about it, back in Roman times too, that was the biggest thing. Like, that's how people would prove their dominance, by sleeping with a homeboy. So I really don't understand as to
What?
why.
You didn't know that?
Nah, I ain't know
In
that.
Roman times?
Yeah.
Yes.
I never heard of that.
They will also do it as a form of torture.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
They would
Homosexuality
bend you
is
over
just
as a
something that's
form
been
of-
so deeply
What if
rooted into
they
society.
liked it?
That's what it's in their ass. Of course they're going to like it. They just hate the fact that they like it. I'm sorry.
This is so much.
I don't
There's
care.
nothing wrong with getting your ass tickled, because me personally, my ass is not getting touched, but your ass can. That's your business. There's a reason why. But yes,
I think it's an excuse for gay people to. I think it's an excuse for
He
people
said
to be openly homophobic. Like, you're not supposed to eat seafood, but I see you tearing down that seafood, Karen. You're not allowed to mix fabrics, but I see you with multiple fabrics are, Lisa. I see you. You just don't like me. Yeah.
You
We
ain't
see
John
you.
Cena.
We see you.
We see you.
So don't use the Bible as your excuse, because I could talk about a bunch of things in the Bible that people aren't allowed to do that they still do. You're not allowed to have a tattoo. You know what you got? A A tattoo?
Got a whole fucking arm sleeve.
Right. Thank you guys for coming to Explicit Expressions. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay explicit. We say all the things you want to say explicitly, and we're out.
You know she bad as fuck, yeah. I'm getting tatted up, and I know that these niggas is mad for what, okay. I know they had to duck Hellcat, but it ain't going fast as us, okay. I'm tryna make a little bro.